If you are listening today, that probably means you already listened to the first episode with Zach Geisendorfer, where we talked about the 10 trillion calls that he has become accustomed to making and how he uses language and various forms of communication to execute at a very high level. So we're going to set that aside, leave that in episode one. And you might remember the coffee, Starbucks coffee card that he used to get all kinds of business, which was absolutely brilliant. But today, we're bringing Zach back on because we're going to talk about what we ended the last episode with, which was talking about open house strategies and how we can make an entire episode out of this. But before we start, Zach, you mentioned the whole Zen thing when you were talking about how people can get a hold of you. And, I just have to ask because my first inclination is, all right, California here, maybe cats are from Northern California. What's the story behind your middle name being Zen?
So my last name is Guy Zen Dorfer, and part of the family tradition is that you take part of the name as your first name. So my uncle or my cousin's name was Guy. So technically I was in line for Door, and very luckily my parents skipped the tradition and kept Zachary as the first name and then bumped Zen over the middle name.
Interesting. So I was way off. I'm picturing like a mom who, like wears like tie dyes and, does yoga and, and meditates and all that sort of thing. But I was way off, I guess. Huh?
Oh, yeah, no, my dad's a math teacher and my mom was a family mediator for the courts for 35 years. So they're not what you'd expect as your typical Californian peace, peace, love, happiness.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad I asked because boy, did I have that all wrong. That's awesome. So I just want to recap real quick because for those of you that need a little reminder, Zach's had kind of I would say a kind of a really quick rise in the industry, and it all came about because of your ability, not only willingness but ability, obviously, to convert and make a lot of calls. And you and I talked about this. Like to me, that's just misery. I didn't ever want to do that. I always wanted to attract business, but it also is a testament to how there's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's more ways to get business than just one. And that led us towards the end of that last conversation to where you were describing the whole open house strategy and how one of your agents, just floods the neighborhood or the area with signs. And let's start. Can you recap that? And then let's get right into the goods.
Definitely. So, I mean, one of the number one things I hear about open houses is they don't work. And to be super honest, I think it's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. No other way to say it, because it's one of our fastest converting leads. It's one of our highest conversion leads. And it shows from NAR that 70% of people pick their agent because it was the first person they got face-to-face with, which is exactly what you're doing inside of an open house. So when we do an open house, we make sure that it's a mega open house. We step it up a notch. And what I hear from a lot of agents that say open houses don't work is they're just not doing an actual open house. They're just hanging out in a house for a few hours, on a Saturday. There's a big difference between having the doors to your business open and sitting in a house, for a few hours.
So it's almost like an agent needs to really shift their mentality. It starts with mindset. And when your mindset is, well, I'll do this because the seller is adamant about it. But I mean, does that, I'm sure it does. But the fact that still exists, I feel like every real estate agent on the planet knows why you do an open house. Not to sell the house, typically, to gain buyers, right? So... I guess that's what you're saying is that it starts with mindset, and your mindset needs to shift. You need to stop looking at it as an opportunity to just go sit there for 2 hours to make the seller happy. Or I think a lot of agents, Zach, have started to use open houses as an opportunity to create content. I'm going to
use it for
around in the house. Yeah.
Which I think doing content is part of holding a successful open house, though. So if you're doing 2 open houses a weekend and your followers see you, we tell our agents to do 4 posts per an open house. So that means if you do 2 open houses in a weekend, you should be doing 8 posts. They can be stories, they could be reels, they could be posts. You could do some of them the following weekend. You could do them on Wednesday. who cares? But what your followers see is you inside of a house selling the house. They have no idea that it's a different house or the same house or anything about it, but they see you out in houses, being an active agent. So I think even on the social side, doing an open house is a huge win, for you. And then if you have the right mindset that I'm doing this open house to get business, I'm not just doing this to make my seller happy. Like we all know, if you're doing something just to do it, you're not going to be successful at it. If you have the right intention behind it and you're actually doing an open house to have conversations, collect clients, you're going to collect clients, even if you only have 2 people that come into the open house.
Yeah, so let's talk about the content piece, because you mentioned 4 posts per open house. Is there a certain strategy about the posts, or is it just post? Like, what is your mentality about that?
I think it's a 50-50. It kind of depends on the agent, a little bit as well. But typically we'll say that you should have at least 2 stories for the open house that you do. Because you could do, hey, welcome to the open house. Look at my setup of it. So you're showing people how hard you work. And then the second story of that would be, hey, look at this amazing house. So it's kind of a twofer. Hey, let me show you how hard I'm working. Let me show you how cool the house is, that I'm selling for this client. And then for the other side of that, if you're doing a post, it's very similar. We just suggest doing different parts of the house. So maybe your first post is the entryway of the beautiful living room and this huge TV. Okay. And then your second post is the backyard, totally different part of the house. So like I said, your followers don't even really know that it's the same house. So it's not that you're trying to dupe people, but their brains just don't process that way. They just see you inside a house.
Clickbait.
Consistently.
It's clickbait. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? To get their attention. Yeah. You're not going to get their attention if you do the same thing over and over again.
Exactly. So we usually just different parts. There was one agent that is not on our team, but I know if he was up in Orange County, he would do 14 posts for every open house that he did. So I was like, what are you even doing? Like, how are you even getting 14 posts? He's like, there's bedrooms, there's the bathrooms, there's the backyard, there's the front yard, there's the highlights of the community. Like there's all these different little things that you can record as separate little videos, and he posts them throughout the whole week instead of posting them all the same day. So that gave him content for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the next Saturday comes around, boom, I'm in another open house. So he really utilized it, where on us, we like to be in different open houses throughout the weekend just so we can get the buyers, out of it as well. So one of our agents, Chase, he'll do a morning open house on Saturday and then an evening open house. Then on Sunday, he'll do a morning open house and he'll do an evening open house, and he does them in the same little bubble. So all those people driving around and all those neighbors literally go, oh my God, like what is going on? Like we see this guy's signs every day, everywhere. And you're just in their head now. There's no way for them not to be somewhat impressed by it.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I guess the most obvious question is how is he getting 4 open houses in a small geographic area in the first place?
Totally. So there's a few different ways. One, you can call agents that are with the brokerage. So he'll literally just call every single live listing that goes live every week. And he'll get a hold of them and see if they want to host their open house, which, as I just said, a lot of agents think open houses don't work. So they say, oh my God, yes, please. He's like, yes, please. Okay. No problem. Let me come in. And then as you do that more and more, those agents will just start calling you.
Yeah.
They'll just call you and say, hey, Zach, we have an open house coming this weekend. Do you want to come host it?
We have a new listing.
So he'll have 5 agents reach out to him a weekend saying, hey, do you want to host my open houses? And he doesn't even need to call, anymore sometimes. But it's really just targeting that. Also Facebook groups. So we're with EXP. So workplace, is a big place for there. So he'll just post in the workplace, hey, I'm available for open houses in Fallbrook. I'm available for open houses in Carlsbad. And he'll just throw that out there. So even if they don't have one for him that weekend, a few weekends goes by, they get a new listing. Oh, who's that guy who posted in the group, that he'll do an open house.
Yeah.
And he just creates that attraction. It's a lead flow from agents opposed to cold calling consumers. He can now just do a couple reach outs to agents and create that funnel, coming into his business.
Interesting. Now, is this particular agent, what's his avatar? Young to the business, veteran to the business? Tell me more about the agent.
Definitely. He's about 4 years into the business. He's with Redfin prior to being with us. And then we ended up getting him over here on our team. And his big name of the game was like, I've worked internet leads. I've done all these different sources of business. He's like, how can I really get in front of people? That was kind of the big hiccup, that was happening was, hey, I can get people on the phone, but, I can't get them in a discovery necessarily. So I'm like, hey, let's just go right to the source. Let's just put you in front of people instead of you having to try to get in front of people. And because that's where he thrives is in-person conversation, being able to read their facial cues. He's a big smiler. He dresses the part, suit, tie, dress shoes. He's not showing up in sandals and shorts, to host an open house. And it lets him really play that part, and it lets him feel really professional, which also makes him feel more confident in these conversations, that he's having with people.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Cause I think my first thought from a listener's perspective is, the average agent, what are they thinking when you say that? Which is, man, I don't want to give up my entire weekend, or I have a family. I can't do that. What would be your response to an agent that joined your team that you gave this advice to? And by the way, let's assume that it's an agent that's probably not just killing it with business. And yet they're also going to make the excuse of, well, I don't have the time to do that. I don't want to give up my weekend for that. What do you say to somebody who has that mentality?
If you don't have a flowing business and you don't want to work weekends, you're in the wrong business. It's very simple, very clear. I leave it really cut and dry. Weekends are where we thrive. Like that's where people are out and about. They're also in a better mood. They're a better energy. Like the consumer, is they're not thinking about going to work, later that day or driving home from a long day of work. Like that's when they're out and about. So it's very clear to all of our agents, like Saturdays and Sundays are when your doors are open for business. And if you want to close your doors on a Saturday or Sunday, you better make sure that you have another option, that's replacing it. But unless you have a full pipeline and you're doing consistent deals of what I would say at least 2 escrows a month over here in our market, we have about a $900,000, 860, price point over here. If you're not doing 2 escrows a weekend, you should be, 2 escrows a month. You should be doing open houses on the weekend. And if you don't want to do open houses, great. Some people go door knock. Some people do something, but your doors need to be open on the weekends. And if they're closed, think about it. You go to the ice cream shop, you go to the sandwich shop, you go to Best Buy, everywhere's busier on the weekend. So why would your business be any exception? That if you drove up to Best Buy and the doors were closed, you're not going back to Best Buy on Monday. You're figuring out what you want that day, and going and getting it.
Yeah. 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 No, that makes sense. And I kind of know the answer. I just want to hear what your answer was. Because I think that is, going back to how we started this, which is mentality. And I think that's where a lot of things need to change for a lot of agents here is, which you kind of alluded to already. It's like, not only do you need to shift and change your mindset, but you need to decide that you need to be willing to do these things. Because if you're listening to this right now and you're struggling, and in your case, you use the metric of 2 deals a month at an average price point of just under $1 million. So I assume the math would work. If your average price point is $450, then you should be doing 4 a month. And so you need to figure that out. Assuming that this is a career that has the intent of making an income. You're not just no disrespect to maybe mothers who went back to get their license after their kids were growing up or something like that, and they're just doing it because they need a career, right? They don't have to make a paycheck to pay their bills. But we're talking to the agent that this is a job. And if you don't close deals, you can't pay your electric. You can't pay your mortgage.
Well, you nailed the word career. That was like the big word you said. A lot of agents kind of treat this as a side job. And I personally just don't have a ton of time. I'm not saying there's not a place for those agents, but we don't have a ton of time for them on our team because this is a career. Like if you want to have a hobby, that's totally fine. I'm not putting it down on anybody. But for us here in the level that we like to perform on, like our agents are trying to boost their life. They're trying to create a better life for themselves, for their family, for their friends, whoever it is, and why they're really in it. So being a part-time agent, I think a lot of people that are producing agents listening to this know, like being a part-time agent is way harder than being a full-time agent, in my opinion. Yeah. Because your clients see it and it's just, it portrays, so I'm not saying that there's not excuses, out there, but the excuses really fall back to yourself. And my first sales director I had, he used to write down on a sticky note for me, be stronger than your strongest excuse. Our top producer grew her business while she had 5 kids. It's like, there is time. It's just if you're making the time, to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I would also venture to guess that there's probably not any or many, very few part-time hobbyists that are listening to this, because they probably don't make time for that either. This is the people that are listening to podcasts are the ones that are truly trying to improve themselves, and that's who this matters to. So I mean, I think it's also validation to that agent that I don't know what your opinion is on this, but I mean, as it relates to that, there are a ton of hobbyists. I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say greater than 50% of the industry, if not probably close to 70% of the industry is. I'm just going to call them hobbyists. You use the word, I'm going to run with it. And that is such opportunity for the agent who does treat this as a career. So let's go back to this. Let's get back, obviously, to the open house. And so your first opinion, your first advice is that, listen, doors open, and open houses are an incredible opportunity to get buyers. Shift your mindset. Be ready and willing to work on the weekends.
Yes.
You gave us the content piece. What's the next? What's next from the open house strategy?
So you need to run your open house like you're running a storefront. So if you're thinking about it, the open house is quite literally somebody's first opportunity to interview you as their agent. So if they walk in and you have five flyers laid there, you have like some partially warmed drinks like sitting off to the side, half the lamps are on, you have some weird smelling candle like in the corner. If you walk into a business like that, you're going to be kind of whispering to your friend going like, where are we? Right now, it's the same thing for an open house. It's no different. People think just because it's an open house, that means you're good to go. So you need to really sit down, and our agents prep an hour prior to the open house. They're at the house setting up, whether it's smelling good, feeling good, looking good. Okay, are the three things that we really try to qualify. So the house should smell good. Okay, let's just start there. Nobody wants to walk into a bad smelling house, whether you want to bake cookies, whether you want to have a candle you like whatever it is, like make sure the house is inviting and smells good, because that's the biggest turnoff to somebody walking in is, oh my God, this house smells like the windows and doors have been shut for the last 2 weeks. Okay, next,
on that point, what is a trick to the house that is musty or it does have a smell? Like, what is a trick? Because only an hour, that's not enough time to eliminate a bad smell. So what are the tricks to making it palatable?
So I'm not a huge fan of like the Febreze spray smell. It kind of just, everyone kind of knows it smells like a public bathroom, kind of the Febreze smell. So a big one that we used to do in the past, I don't think a ton of people think about it, is lemons. It's like the stupidest little trick, but everybody likes to smell lemons, like a fresh cut lemon. Like it just does. It smells good. Okay, so what I used to do was take the lemon, I'd squirt it like in all the sinks and everywhere, because that's pretty close. Master bedroom has a sink. The bathrooms are normally across from the secondary bedrooms. They have sinks, but that lemon juice, like weirdly enough, really does help bring up freshness, to the open house.
Really? And you just squeeze
it. Outside of that,
you squeeze it into the sink and just leave it. You don't rinse it.
Nope, just squeeze it in. Like, obviously you don't want seeds and stuff, laying around it. So you want to just be kind of careful, when you do it. But yeah, so you put it in there. And then another trick is you can take whatever's left, 2 lemons, 3 lemons, really cheap at the store. Mm-hmm. And you could easily boil them for like 20 minutes, on a pot. It's like an old mom trick that my mom used to do to make the house smell good before company came over, was throw them in the pot, boil the pot for like I said, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. And bam, now it's also just aroma, pumping out everywhere in the steam.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that Martha Stewart trick right there. Interesting.
Yep. And I'm telling you, it's the little things that make a difference. You don't need a $40 candle that's going to be gone in 3 weekends. If you want to do candles, great. Some of our agents have amazing smelling candles. But for me, that was just the easiest, cheapest, quickest way that I could still have the open house feel like a professional, nice, welcoming storefront.
I'd like to know, for anybody listening to this, if you've ever done that, or if you've never done it and you try it, I want to know how it works. I'd like to hear some feedback.
Yeah.
So share that with me. Now, you also mentioned cookies, which actually would be pretty simple. Not as inexpensive as lemons, but I mean, still, you go buy those pre-made ones. You pull out a cookie sheet, maybe bring some foil over so you're not getting anything dirty, and then you just, I mean, it would take 10 minutes, right, to get that going, and then you got the cookies too. Yeah.
Now you have a snack for the people coming into the open house. It smells like cookies. It tastes like cookies. Who doesn't, like cookies? Maybe do some gluten free, I guess, depending on where you are, if it's like a big thing. But yeah, just make it simple. That's really the big thing around this too, is don't overcomplicate your process, because then you are going to be like, oh my God, I'm rushing to set up the house. Then you're reaching each way and then you get sweaty in your clothes that you're trying to, wear during it. Like, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Small, simple things are what's going to make a really good open house.
Love it. Okay, moving on. From smell to where? Look or feel?
So look, okay, it would be the next one. So, okay, windows open, TVs on, all lights on, like make everything feel like they're living in the house is really the goal. You walk in a new build, they handle it perfectly. You walk in a new build and all the lights are on and all the windows are open and the AC's running, and they just, new builds do that part extremely well.
Even if it's 100 degrees outside?
Yes, depending on where you are. There we go. So if it's 100 degrees outside, maybe close the windows, but turn on the AC. But essentially, you just want air. Like, you want air coming through. You want it to feel fresh. The big one is the lights. I've gone into so many open houses where the upstairs, like, bathroom lights are turned off, but the bedroom lights are turned off, and it just feels like an incomplete open house. Like, if you already have everything else on, take the extra 5 minutes, just to turn on all the lights and make sure that they're, all on.
That fast. You get out of it, put into it.
100%. And then signage is also part of looks, as well. So us personally, we have these big 18-foot flags that we love to put in the front yard. They're really big attention grabbers. And then signage, as in like your open house signs. I have lots of agents like, I have so many signs. I put out like 10. I'm like, okay, like that's great. 10's really not like that many signs. Like, I get it. So our standard is 25 as a minimum. And if it's one of our own listings, we're doing 50 to 60 open house signs. So in the actual neighborhood itself, there should not be a single part of the neighborhood where you can look and you don't see a sign going to that house. Because even if they don't go to the house, they're seeing your face, inside the neighborhood. And then the next one is, a lot of people love to venture like 3 miles out on signs. I'm sorry, but nobody's following open house signs, for 2 miles, 3 miles, anything like that. So let's say you pull into a street going straight, you're going to make a left into the street, like off the light. I'll put 5 signs, like 10 feet apart on that one straightaway. So people are like, I have to go. Like, I have to go in there. Like, how do you not? And once again,
it's also
I look at that really well is new build.
It catches your eye. I mean, it's like, okay, what are these signs for? Like, that's human nature.
Yeah. And once again, new builds do it really well. New builds will pay a sign guy to put out like 200 signs for the community. And that's why they get a bazillion people coming in to see the community. Even when they're not looking to buy a house, they're driving to the community just to check out the new builds. So why do it any less for a non-new build home? No reason for it. So 25 is a minimum standard. 50 to 60 would be the goal, for one of our listings, if we weren't hosting somebody else's.
Wow. And do you recommend that the agents get personalized signs? Or are these just the brokerage signs or just straight open house signs? Like, what's your recommendation on that?
Yeah, it really comes down to what you can get on pricing. We do bulk signs. We've gotten our sign price down, pretty far, but you want branded signs for inside the community for sure. Like inside the neighborhood, you definitely want, it doesn't necessarily need to have your face, but at least your name. They need to at least be seeing your name. Once you get outside of the neighborhood and you're more just on the big streets, what a lot of people love to do is half the sign is taken up by their photo and their phone number. Like 50% of the people are not going to see your photo and your phone number. So what you really want is like a bright color, something that just they can see. So our open house signs are very straightforward. It's a big, bright neon green, pink, purple, blue, yellow, nice and bright. And then it just says Fam Realty Group at the top with a phone number, nice and small on the bottom. But it's the big thing is it's really just catching people's eye and telling them where to go. This isn't really your moment to like brand yourself to the max. That's where you want to be inside the community is where you really want to brand yourself.
I assume they say open house.
Yep.
The one down the street. You said it says Fam Realty and then the phone number, but in the middle, I guess, is open house with an arrow or something.
Yeah, right below the arrow. Yeah, so we have Fam Realty Group, big, nice green, like I said, bright neon highlighter green is like one of our big ones. And then below, it'll say open house and then a phone number.
Got it. Okay, awesome. So 25 minimum. And if they're with, and just for context, if they were with you guys, it's 50 to 60. Wow.
Yeah, 50 to 60.
Nice.
And to give you an example, we just did that last weekend, or actually 2 weekends ago, and we're double ending a 1.9 deal because a buyer that came into the open house and because they saw the signs.
They're not buying.
It was like everyone.
They're just a buyer. You got the buy. You just got a buyer. Gold.
Got a buyer, and they're going to submit an offer on the property.
Now, on that particular house too. On the house you were holding up.
On that particular house.
Nice.
Yep, that's even easier. That's also where a lot of agents drop the ball. They forget to ask the buyers that come into the open house, do you want to submit an offer on this house? They try to sell themselves as an agent. Like, you're there selling the house, be impressed of selling the house. Then they'll want to work with you as the agent. If you're just in there trying to collect buyers, they sense that.
Yeah.
Like they get that feeling that you're just there collecting. We're like, the number one question we ask our buyers once they've done touring the house is, hey, Jeff, do you want to submit an offer on this house? The perfect house for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many times they'd say yes.
Interesting. Okay, carry
on. The biggest one outside of that is now the agent has to look good, feel good, smell good. I know we shouldn't necessarily have to say that, but it's true. I've gone into a lot of open houses with agents in cargo shorts, okay, or blue jeans and a t-shirt. Okay, I get that you may want to be the super relaxed, cool guy, vibe. Like, that's all great, but an open house that isn't the place for it. I'm not saying you need to be in a suit and tie and, dress shoes necessarily, but at least like a nice pair of pants, a polo shirt, some nice sneakers. Okay, like like I said, you don't need to blow it out of the water, but like make sure you look good. Okay, because if you look good, you're gonna feel good, and you're gonna perform on a higher level when you're inside the open house. I don't know about everybody else listening, but when I put on a suit and a tie and like I really dress up to go somewhere, I feel amazing. Yeah. Like I feel like $1,000,000. It's not something I do every day. So it makes me feel like nice and big and like confident and all of that. So like create that for yourself in the open house, whatever that is for you. Like I said, some agents go all out, suit, tie, the whole 9 yards. Some get just like really nice polos, nice pants, and some white sneakers, and keep it simple. But either way, they're dressed for business, and they're dressed nice, like they actually cared about showing up to the open house.
Yeah, it's like at minimum, dress like you're going to the country club.
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
I like it. Okay. Any more on look?
On look, I'd say that's pretty much it. Like I said, as long as you can meet that standard right there, like that's all it really takes, to have a really good looking open house. Lights are on, smells good, you feel good, look good. Your signage is good because people know you put out the work to do the signs. So guess what? All the neighbors see all the signs that you put up, and they're like, I want this guy doing my signs, for my open house. So that's essentially the start now to an open house.
Yeah.
Like now at least you have your doors open for business and people will want to come into your store.
Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Now I'm curious to hear the next one because I don't know. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is, should I start giving people hugs to make them feel good?
So I'm always about giving people what they want. Might as well just give the people what they want. They don't want to come into the open house and hear, hey, so do you have an agent? Oh, hey, are you working with a lender?
Mm.
Oh, this is one of my favorite questions. Hey, what brought you in today? Like, I'm here to look at a house.
Obvious?
Yeah. Like that's one of those questions that I never really fully understood. So you want to be polished, clean. Okay. So people come in, right? Just go, hi, my name is Zach. What's your name? Fantastic. Hey, here's all the information on the house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet. Make sure you check out the pool that's in the backyard. Okay, there's also a really nice master bedroom upstairs. Let me ask you a quick favor, though. When you're done looking at the open house, meet me over by the kitchen counter. I just gave them everything that they wanted. Mm-hmm. So now they're going to give me what I want, which is they show up to the kitchen counter. Yeah. People think that people aren't going to show up, and it's because of their mindset. I would literally say like 7 out of 10 people meet you at the kitchen counter.
Yeah. It's almost like we have a tendency of having commission breath, and it becomes an immediate turnoff. But when you just, it's funny. What you just did was you gave them value. And I don't visit a lot of open houses, but if I did, and an agent did that to me, I'd be like, oh, wow, okay, thank you. Like, thank you for giving me the map of what I need to do here. And you know what else? I don't know. I want your opinion on this too. But as a consumer, the last thing I want is a random person that I've never met before trailing me through a house that I just came to do a walkthrough of. Do you agree that you should not like hover over people as they're walking through houses?
Yeah, unless they ask you to, but
Yeah.
even if they ask you to, like you're now missing all the other people that walk into the open house. It's like, and I'm not saying you need to greet everybody. You're not a greeter, okay? You're an agent, like you're a professional. You're there in the open house. So you don't need to wave and smile and greet, every single person the second they walk in the door. But we do. We tell them, hey, take as much time as you want. Just meet me by the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
And they do. They feel the stress is off of them. They're not getting hovered. They go walk around the house. And right as they go to walk away, though, after you say meet me at the kitchen counter, oh, really quick, can I have you sign in for the homeowner? Because now you're not signing in for me to get you as a client. You're signing in for the homeowner, and I just gave you everything you wanted. So once again, you're going, oh, yeah, sure, no worries. And since it's not this, oh, let me get your name and phone number right when you walk in, that's when they give you fake phone numbers, fake emails, fake names, because they know what you're doing. Where if you give them what they want, oh, last second before I forget, let me get you to sign in. It doesn't make it look like your priority.
What's the psychology behind, oh, wait a second, one last thing. Like, what's the psychology behind that? Because I assume there's a method to that madness.
So I think that if it's the first thing you say, 'cause that's what I used to experience, I'd walk in an open house and say, hey, can I please have you sign in? And that makes me think that the only reason that they're here is to get my information. So they call me, like it's their priority is just to get my information. It's not to help me with the open house or sell the house, for the homeowner. Where if it's, oh, hey, really quick, before I forget, it's like as they're walking away, it makes it seem like it's not your number one goal is to get their contact information. So in their mind, it's not as scary. And they now go and actually put in their real information.
I like it. You don't think about this kind of stuff. This is interesting. It's not like rocket science, but probably completely overlooked by many agents.
Yep. And then what's the first question you think we ask when they come to the kitchen counter?
Well, what do I think most agents? You want to buy this house?
Yeah.
So what'd you think? I think most people probably say that. So what'd you think?
Yeah. Very simple. Awesome. Hey, do you want to write an offer on this home?
So that's what you say first. You don't say, what'd you think?
Nope. Because if you say no to the open house, if you say no to writing an offer, then I'll inquire and discover and figure out further. If you say yes, great. But like if you want to write an offer, I don't really care as much, what you thought about everything. We can get to that point, after. But hey, so do you want to write an offer on the home? Oh, no. We just started looking. We all know that's what we're expecting. Oh, no. We're okay. We just started looking, or how exciting. Are you guys already local to the area? And it just leaves you in this space where you can now have an actual conversation with somebody opposed to qualifying them as a potential buyer. I'm doing my job as the selling agent and I'm being impressive by trying to sell you this house. Once you tell me this house isn't for you, now I can turn into buyer's agent mode and start to work with you as a buyer. Awesome. Well, hey, what about this house wasn't the right fit for you? Got it. So you need a bit more space. Is it just you and the wife moving in, or what? Now we can sit here and actually inquire, and it seems like we're having a real conversation, and I'm not trying to qualify you, because that's what people don't want to be. They don't want to be qualified.
Yeah. And I guess the whole, are you working with an agent as well? Like at what point, if ever, do you say something like that? Or is that like way down the list, or do you just wax that from your language?
So once we ask them about the offer, if they say, yes, we do want to write an offer, then that would be one of our next questions. Because it's very simple. It's just, awesome. How exciting. Do you already have an agent that's going to support you in writing the offer, or would you like some help writing a winning offer?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times they don't.
Now, what about the one that says, no, not writing an offer? No, we're just looking. And then you start to do the qualification. At what point do you get to do you have an agent?
So it's going to be one of my last questions right before I close. So right before I add all the value to everything we just discovered, hey, Jeff, are you already signed with another agent? I don't care if you're working with another agent. I care if you're signed with another agent. Everybody's working with an agent. They've talked to somebody at least once. It's probably at the open house 10 minutes before they came in yours. Okay, is even that agent. So that's why I like to say, hey, by chance, are you signed with an agent? Oh, no, not at all. Awesome.
Mm.
Well, because you said that this house is a bit too small for you, this is what I'd like to do. And then I can lead into providing all my value that I'm going to give them. And the number one thing is nobody books inside the open house. You have to book your appointment inside the open house because you're in that emotional bubble with them. You're waiting until Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday to call your clients to book the appointment. You're way too late to the party. They've probably gone in 3 or 4 other open houses, by the time you're even calling them. So all of our agents try to book inside the open house. Okay. And it could even be for the same night. So, hey, Jeff, because you said that you guys are moving from out of the area, and you're only going to be here for the weekend, this is what I'd like to do. Let's set up a 10 to 15-minute call after I close down the open house a little bit later tonight, about 6 o'clock. What I'm going to do is provide you all the best homes here in Oceanside that are on and off the market. From there, you can let me know your likes and dislikes, and we can figure out what the next steps are. Would you be open-minded to something like that? Of course we would. Cool.
That's good.
Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. That's very good. So that's the feel.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Language. It's language. It's not being pushy. It's getting out of your and so now as you're saying all this, and it's light bulbish to me. Granted, I don't sell real estate, so I don't always hear this kind of stuff. But as I hear this, I'm thinking to myself, man, I would want to be able to almost, like role play, but not necessarily role play, but just almost practice, because I don't want to, it's like, when you press play in front of the camera, because Jeff's taught you, use a hook, don't introduce yourself, don't say, hey guys, but as soon as you press play, you just vomit that shit, right?
Yep.
What's your best advice to someone who wants to really nail this down, besides listening to this podcast 15 times and bashing it into your head, which isn't a very efficient use of your time? But go ahead and do that. If you want to voices multiple times, that's okay too.
Yeah. Our agents role play every single morning from 8 to 8:30 a.m. Like, you're in this business, you need to master your craft. You have a craft, and it's communication. And so if you're not mastering that craft every single day, what are you doing? Think about how long it takes an attorney to be an attorney, a doctor to be a doctor. Okay, so I tell all of our agents, like, if you want to make lawyer money, you got to work lawyer hours, at least to start. Okay, master your craft. I'm saying 30 minutes in the morning, Monday through Friday. You'll be a killer by the weekend. Okay, but it takes consistency, and you need to practice it. And a lot of times you're, well, I don't have time to role play. Absolute baloney.
Yeah.
Okay, like some of my agents will call me on their way home from an appointment just to role play their next appointment, or to role play their open house the next day, whatever that may be. Like, you have time to role play. We've had an agent that role plays with like their 7-year-old son, and he'll sit there and they'll read the script, and she'll have objections that he reads back. Like, you can always role play. Okay, and if you can't, go to my Instagram and let's role play. Like, let's make it happen. Like, role playing should be like one of the number one things in your business that you're doing on a daily basis, not once a week, not twice a month when you go into the office, okay, to hang out, but every single morning. All of our agents get their first call out of the way on role play. So every other call and every single conversation they have after that, they're dialed in. And what we like to call it, it's really true, you're in your thrive state. You're in your heightened state where your brain's awake. You already know what you're going to say. It's practiced. It's rehearsed. I think we've all heard someone who's really rehearsed, whether it's on social media, whether it's inside an open house, whether it's a sales rep that you talk to from ADT. We know what it sounds like when somebody really knows what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it is. It's impressive. It is.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, it's a level of professionalism, effectively. If you, it's almost like, and I think consumers are becoming more and more numb or privy to, a poor salesperson or a poor professional, not even salesperson, just poor. Again, you walk into an open house and the first thing they ask, can I get your information? Can you sign in? And are you working with an agent? It's like, man, you just shot yourself in the foot.
Totally. Think about it. You're on a playing field. Professional sports athletes, professional athletes, they train every single day, sometimes 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Like, think about that, just so they can play one game on the weekend. And my number one highlight, if anybody on here has read Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents, okay, major book. If you haven't read it, go read it. But he says right in the beginning of the book, He goes, an Olympic swimmer will swim for 2 to 3 hours a day so they can perform for like 10 minutes once every 4 years. And you're telling me you can't role play for 30 minutes a day?
Nuts. What's the name of the book again?
Yeah. Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents. And it's by Phil Jones.
Nice.
It's a really good book. If anyone hasn't read it, I highly suggest it. We had our whole team read it. We practice it. We role play it. He even has role play cards that we use for some of our stuff. It's all very NLP. Are you open-minded too? Not sure if this is for you, but it really helps you craft, a lot of your communication.
Let's just say there's an agent listening to this and they're in, Vermont, Arkansas, whatever, and just somewhere not in California. And they're thinking to themselves, damn, like I don't have these resources at my brokerage. What's your advice to somebody like that?
They're free everywhere. So really what we're providing as a team is accountability. We're providing structure. We're providing the blueprint. The big word there is accountability, though. Like somebody joins a team because they want to be held accountable to hitting their goal.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that around you, you can create it yourself. It'll be harder. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It'll be hard, but it'll really just be hard work is all really be. The process behind it is fairly easy. There's lots of podcasts. There's lots of books. There's free stuff on YouTube. Like there's stuff everywhere. The thing is you've got to pick one and run with it though, instead of bouncing around between something new, every 2 weeks. But if you can actually time block out a calendar, line out what it is you need to do to be successful, 20 conversations a day, okay, 30 minutes of role play, okay, an hour of follow-up, okay, an hour of prospecting at minimum. Like if you can line that on a calendar and follow it, like you'll be successful in real estate.
Yeah.
Like that's the blueprint. So it's really not hard. It's hard work, is really what I like to tell people.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what am I missing? We talked about the mindset. We talked about how to promote and how to take advantage of what you have, which is social media. We talked about, treating it like a storefront.
2 things here.
Yep.
The 2 things we're missing. One would be driving traffic to your open house. The signs are great. We dial 300 neighbors, okay, around the open house. Let all 300 neighbors know they're going to be hosting that open house that weekend and that they want to pick their next neighbor. Easiest reason to call.
So 300 calls.
300 calls. Like I said, if you take an average answer rate, on something like geodata, depending on where you're getting it from, you'll probably have 15 to 20 conversations, something like that. And on average, you'll probably get at least 5 people that come into your open house for that. Most people don't even have 5 people that come into their open house.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can get 5 extra people coming in, and guess what? Those are your most qualified buyers you have in your database as the homeowner. Or you run into a renter who's renting in their community, and they're your most motivated buyer to want to live in that house. So either way, it's a win-win. And even if that that homeowner doesn't want to come see the open house, there's not many other agents that are calling all the neighbors every single time they hold one. So if we can do 20 open houses in a weekend, guess how many times the neighbors get called throughout a year hearing that we're holding an open house? They get your same call like 10 times throughout the year. It's just a reason for you to be on their phone, and for you to talk with them and have them hear your name. So driving traffic to the open house, okay, is where a lot of people kind of forget. It's well worth your Thursday, Friday afternoon is to go put like 2 hours a day into dialing to get people into your open house, because you'll just straight up run into a seller that doesn't even want to come to the open house. No, I don't want to come to the open house, but I've been thinking of selling. How's the traffic? But you'll just straight up run into sellers.
Yeah.
Doing that. It happens all the time. It just happened last weekend, and they're on a listing appointment today over in Oceanside. She called the neighbor. The neighbor was impressed. She came by the open house. She was impressed by the open house. So she's at a listing appointment today with our team lead, going over how we're going to sell her house. Wow. Like, it's just, I'm telling you, like, when you show up, things happen.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. That's all she did was show up and make the call. It wasn't anything crazy. It's not like she had some 12-line dialer, and some mega tech to make it happen. Like, it was free data from title and a phone.
That's my next question, is where are you getting the data from? So you're getting the data from title. And
we have a few different sources, but title's a big one, for us, but like, we'll do like Red X every now and then, Vulcan. We like to test always whoever has the best data. We have about 2 million homeowners in our database, kind of the data, like there's the data kings, because agents don't typically like play in data land because you have to cold call and you have to, put in an extra few hours and stuff like that. So we like to pull from everywhere possible to see where we get the best results and then really put our time, into where we're getting the best results.
And when you said 300, I mean, what if it's a smaller subdivision, or what if it's a much bigger subdivision? I guess 300 is just an average, or is that just the target number?
It's an average, for us. We'll pull 2-mile radius around the open house is what we're typically doing. But on the areas that we're doing, that's around, 200 to 300 homeowners. Now, if you do like a condo complex, of course, you're going to run into like 1,700, homeowners and whatnot. And then we just, lower the circle, there a little bit. So maybe you just call all the other owners in that complex if there's 300 units, in the complex.
Yeah. And when it comes to the language, I mean, I heard you say that picking your neighbor, which I think is clever. Is that obviously, that wasn't just you're just not spitballing. That's like specific language that you're having your agents use.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pretty simple, outreach. Hey, Jeff, it's Zach. I'm going to keep this call really quick for you. We're actually selling your neighbor's home right down the street over at 1234 Jefferson Street. There's going to be a lot more traffic than usual in the neighborhood this weekend. We're having an open house Friday 1 to 2, Saturday 3 to 5, and Sunday 3 to 5. And I wanted to give you a call and see if you potentially wanted to pick out your next neighbor. Do you know anybody that would want to come see the house?
Yeah.
That's simple. I'm not calling and saying, do you want to sell?
Yeah.
I'm calling and saying, hey, I'm trying to sell your neighbor's house. So I'm going to do my job at selling their house first.
You know what caught my attention?
And saying no, then I'll get it.
What caught my attention is holding it open 3 days in a row. I think that would definitely that would make me say, wow, okay. My first reaction was, as a seller, man, what a pain in the ass. But at the same token, if I got the house ready for an open house once, you might as well just go ahead and knock them all out in 3 days. I can keep the house clean rather than multiple weekends.
Yep. And we always ask our sellers for 3 days. You can't always get it, of course. Sometimes, people just need to be in the house, for certain reasons. But we'll always push for a later in the day Friday, people coming home from work.
Yep.
And then we'll go middle of the day to earlier day Saturday, and then Sunday. We try to match the time on Saturday and Sunday. So for us here, 1 to 4 is kind of our prime time that we have found. So we like to do the same time on both days. Otherwise, people get confused. What are the optimal times for each day? We like 1 to 4 for Saturday and Sunday. Like for us, that's proven to be the best, because you go too early, people are out at soccer games and going to the gym, and they're doing their own stuff, earlier in the day. So 1 to 4 for us has been it's the middle of the day. People are going out to lunch. They're more open. And our big one, though, is consistent times. If you get it all over the place and do 12 to 3 Saturday and then 4 to 6 Sunday, people they forget, and it's confusing. Hey, it's 1 to 4 Saturday and Sunday, and Friday we're doing 4 to 6.
So 4 to 6 is the optimal on Friday?
For Friday, that's what we prefer, because you get people that are coming home from work, and they actually will stop by the open house on their way home from work.
Yeah. Love it. Driving traffic. What's the last one?
Yep. Last one is going to be your follow-up. So you can bring in 30 leads, okay, from an open house. When season's hot, okay, and weather is nice and the sun is shining and you have this trifecta of an open house. I mean, we've brought in 200 leads in a weekend before. And what most agents do is they'll bring in, let's just say an average open house, okay, instead of going all buku, okay, here, but let's just say an average open house, you get 10 people. Okay, they register. A lot of agents don't call those 10 people until Wednesday. It's just, you're way, way, way too late. You're behind. It's not impressive, to be super honest with you. And it's just the homeowner's forgotten who you are. The buyer's forgotten who you are at that point. So we have 2 ways that happen instantly. One, before the agent closes the open house, they send a video to every single one of the buyers that came into the open house. Thank you so much for coming in the open house today.
They even leave the open house?
Because you want to be inside the open house when you send the video.
Yeah.
So if you have a slower open house, do it before you close down the open house. Just do it while you're waiting for the next person to come in. But if you have this busy open house, just shut down the open house, record your 10 videos really quick. We're talking 15-second videos. We're not talking a 2-minute long look at the open house. 15 seconds. Thank you so much for coming to my open house today, Jeff. It was very nice meeting you and your wife. I'm really excited to be able to send over all the information, that we talked about. And I'll make sure to give you a call Monday morning just to make sure you're able to access all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just impressive. It is.
Yeah.
Like you're just, as a buyer, you're going, wow, nice. And then the second one on that is they get a call same day. Same day. Everybody waits, like I said, till Wednesday. Some of our agents will literally pull over, get dinner, and they'll do their calls like, wow, before they go home.
The video is text or email?
Yeah, text typically is what we prefer, but you could do email just in case maybe you got a bad number or something like that.
Okay, so you're sending a video, and then you're also calling when you're basically done with the open house.
Yep. Most people won't respond to a video. They just like to watch it. Videos are not made to get this massive tidal wave of response back. They're just made to re-put your face in front of them and show them I'm doing something different than all the other agents, open houses that you just went in.
Got it.
So the video re-puts your face there. After we send out the list of homes, typically, because if they didn't want that house, they typically want a different house.
Yep.
So we're sending out the list of homes and then calling them same day and just saying, hey, Jeff, I did just as promised, and I put together that list of homes that I considered the top 5 best deals in Vista, whatever it is. Okay, you're going to send them. I wanted to make sure that it made it over to your email and you were able to open it. Did you get a chance to see those?
Yeah. How much time are you giving them after you send it? How much time are you?
I don't know, maybe an hour, something like that. It doesn't matter if they opened it or not.
Sure.
Because if they didn't open it, they're going to open it after you call.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. The problem is people think sending homes is a value add. I can go to Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Homes.com, Compass.com. I can go to any website, set myself up on automated home search. Sending somebody homes, just auto, oh, great, I'll send you homes, talk to you later. That's not a value add these days. It's just you can go anywhere, and find homes for sale online now. So you have to create the value behind the homes you send. Yeah. So, hey, Jeff, what I'm going to do after I close down the open house is I'm going to sit down, I'm going to scan the Vista market, and I'm going to send you the best homes on and off the market that match your criteria. If you could do me a favor and respond with your likes and dislikes, that will really help me adjust your search and make sure that you're only seeing homes that you would want to see. I know when somebody gets 1,000 homes in their email, they all kind of start to look the same.
Yeah.
You have to create value behind your property alert versus the other one. So if you're calling to say, hey, making sure you saw those homes that I just put time into picking and sending to you, it puts value behind your search instead of the 12 other searches that they're already on. Guaranteed.
Yeah. I love that. Damn.
Yeah. Okay. And then after that is essentially just consistency. So an open house lead should have 21 phone calls within the first 7 days if they didn't answer the phone.
Ooh. 21 in the first 7 days. How many times do you get told to F off when you call that much?
You'd be surprised, actually very minimal.
Really? Super minimal.
Now, if you called someone 3 times in a matter of 15 minutes, sure. Don't somebody's in a meeting, you call their phone 3 times in a row. Sure. So what we'll typically do is what we call a double tap. So first call is going to be call. They goes to voicemail. You hang up, you call again, you leave a voicemail on the second call. Okay. If they don't answer or call you back, we give one more call later in the night. So you want to give a little bit of a gap. So you don't want to just be boom, 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 back to back. That's only for the first 7 days.
Yep.
So what you're trying to do is get them before they go out to another weekend of open houses, and they now have 5 other agents, trying to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
So 21 calls within the first 7 days on a property alert. Okay. And they should be getting at least 1 text message a day for the first 7 days as well of your calls if they did not answer the phone.
For 7 days.
For 7 days.
Okay. 7 days. You want 7 days of pain.
7 days of pain. Essentially, you're just pushing really hard on that first 7 days to make it happen because they're still in the emotional bubble. They'll still remember who you are. And everyone asks a lot. It's funny you ask that, how often I get cussed out, because I call people a lot. They'll tell me, hey, Zach, we're not selling for 6 months. You're getting a call from me every 2 weeks. If you tell me you're not selling for 6 months, doesn't mean you're going to answer the phone. It's totally fine. I don't need you to answer. But one of the number one compliments I get from consumers is my consistency.
Yeah.
It's one of the number one pieces of value that I personally think you can show someone is proper consistency. That's why I say don't call them 3 times in 10 minutes. That's just annoying.
Yeah.
But to show consistency where it's like, hey, Jeff, I understand you're not ready to purchase yet. I understand you don't want to book an appointment with me. I totally get that you're just in the discovery phase. I'm going to give you a call once a week on Tuesday mornings to make sure that the homes I'm sending are actually to your liking. And that way, as we get closer to you making a serious decision, at least we know you're getting all the best properties that exist on the market. Yeah. What I'm doing is creating consistency where every Tuesday they may not answer, but when they see that I actually call on Tuesday and I told them I was going to, they get impressed. They do.
Makes sense. Yeah. What about after the 7 days?
After the 7 days, you can lay off a little bit. We usually will go like once a day or once every few days. At that point, they're in your list and you're just going to dial them like during your prospecting time. So maybe you're not able to make it through every person every day after that. But what needs to stay is the property alert. Okay, is you need to make sure that they're still getting homes. And then what we like to do is set up some sort of buyer value add email, that goes out. So for us personally, we have buyer benefits that we offer, like 2 hours of free handyman when you close a property with us, money back to DA clients, first responders. Like we just, we have these items that we offer them. And so once every few days, we have an email that goes out and just shares that value. I'm not saying like, click here, to get this. I'm just saying, hey, by the way, Jeff, in case you didn't know, we actually offer 2 hours of free handyman to all of our clients that purchase a home with us. That way you feel really comfortable, with the home that you're purchasing. And all we're doing is dropping these value adds in front of them while we're calling, while we're texting. And essentially what we're doing is trapping them in our little bubble.
Yeah.
Here. And at the same time, we're playing more your game where we're also retargeting them because we now have their email. So they're going to run into our ads on Google. They're going to run into our ads on Facebook. They're going to see our faces and our name these other places down. They're like, I can't escape them.
Yeah.
Like they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
And they eventually have to answer the phone, respond to an email, shoot you a text, whatever it is, they give you that response. And of course, the goal from there is get them in a buyer discovery, sign an agreement, go see homes, enter escrow, and get a closing.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a lot, man. It's a lot, and it's a lot of gold. And so obviously we're up on the hour here, and so which honestly surprises me. I thought this would be a shorter episode. I guess first thing before
else can go deeper.
Yeah, I mean, before I wrap this up, I mean, is there anything more? I mean, did we cover it all?
The last thing that I'll leave with you, because we did, that was like, if you can line that out on a piece of paper, you are executing open houses on a higher level than 90%. Okay, the other agents in the industry. So I'll leave with 2 things. Open houses like this are a reason that 10% of the agents do 90% of the real estate. Because 10% of the agents actually show up and present themselves, like they should and perform on a level that they should. The second thing I'll leave you with, for anybody here listening that's saying, oh my God, this seems like so much and there's no chance and they just have all the time, okay? Not on our team, but in Utah, my coach Justin, one of his agents, she is 63 years old. She joined real estate and all she did was open houses. She did 3 open houses a weekend for her first year in real estate. Okay. She did almost, I think it was almost 70 something deals her first year in real estate.
Wow, that's unheard of.
I know a lot of people that are new to the industry in their early 20s, early 30s, so they're like, I promise you guys can perform a lot higher than you think you can. And she was just absolute proof. All she did was hold open houses at an extremely high standard, follow up with people properly, and she was able to do more deals than like a top producer, who's crushing it in their market.
Where in Utah? Salt Lake?
Salt Lake, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I know we did this on the first episode. Best way to connect with you?
Best way to connect with me is going to be on Instagram. So it'd be Zach Zen Real Estate, ZACH, Zen Real Estate. You can send me a DM, whatever you need to do. Like I said, I'm an open book, for anybody. We like helping any agent possible. If you want an open house script, you want the execution plan typed out, like I'm all here for you guys, whatever it is you need.
And now you know why the Zen is there as well.
And now you know why the Zen is there.
I'm going to start calling you Door.
Yeah, just because. I dodged the door.
You dodged the bullet. Yes, that's right. You dodged the door. Yeah. That's right. Zach, it's been a pleasure, man. This has been 2 phenomenal episodes, and we're definitely going to keep talking and we got to keep sharing this stuff, man. This is what the industry needs right now. And we're at the precipice of hopefully a little bit of a reprieve and potential boom, if the stars align, and I think we've got a good shot at that in the next 6 to 12 months. And so sharpen your knife, folks. Sharpen your knife. Follow people like Zach. Man, if you got to listen to this again, because I feel like I do, honestly. I got to go back and listen to this again to take some notes, to write this stuff down, even, just to make it, like, bash it into my head. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do, agents. Do what you got to do. Listening to somebody like this, it's everything you need to do. But now you just got to go do it. Zach, thank you very much. Go check him out on Instagram. Take him up on what he says. I would venture to say challenge him. Shoot him a DM. See what happens. Thanks, brother.
Hit me with the hard ones. I'm ready. Pleasure, Jeff.
Lab Coat Agents Podcast.